Hey everybody! Remember that this disclaimer has all the information you need if you want to ask me about my custom toys, and that my Patreon supporters got to see preview images, work in progress shots, and high resolution images of the completed figure. If you want to join them, the link is right in the description below. Hello out there! This is Wake Angel 2001 bringing you the fourth and final figure in Electrical Geek's commission. It is Renet Tilley. A very ordinary sounding name for a very extraordinary character, because she is a time wizard. Now, as far as I'm aware, Renet Tilley was first introduced in the 2003 Ninja Turtles cartoon, the one made by 4Kids, but I think she might have been in the comics as well. I'm not sure if the cartoon came first or the comic came first. I want to say the comic, but it could be that she was put in the cartoon and they adapted the comics after. I don't know. What I do know is that she has a pretty interesting character design with a big, gigantic clock-themed helmet and the unitard covered with clock faces. It's kind of hilarious. Also, this is another case of she was one of the main character's love interests and somehow did not get a toy. I am so annoyed by this. And yeah, funnily enough, she's actually Michelangelo's second love interest. The other one was Shinigami, who was Karai's friend. I guess in the Michael Bay movie when they made Michelangelo the horny one, that actually was in character. Now, the thing is, Renet was actually a pretty tall character in the cartoon. Like, she was easily a head taller than most of the turtles. But they didn't really make a female character in the actual toy line that was that big. But then again, the Playmates Ninja Turtles toy line was always messed up with scale. So the fact that I'm using an April O'Neil figure, which is the closest that he could find, I guess that kind of works out. Okay, so the first thing was that the April O'Neil figure had no neck. I always disliked that particular figure for that reason. Like, it was so weird how she had no neck in that toy. Like, they finally got the face accurate, but then, like, no neck. It looked weird. It made her look like she was shrugging all the time. And I don't think this tiny little shoulder armor she had was justification for not having it. So I cut the peg off, used a toothpick to extend it, and then filled in that gap with epoxy sculpt to make a neck. It's a little bit thick, but it's better than nothing. And so now this April O'Neil figure has a proper length neck to be made into Renet. Modifications to the body would involve quite a lot of sculpting. I cut off some of the detailing of the boots and sculpted the flared pant cuffs that she has. And of course, I gave her quite the substantial boob job, because if it wasn't pretty obvious from my big, huge comment on when I was showing that comic book cover, she's actually quite the little busty time wizard. And of course, everything is covered with a whole bunch of silly clock faces and painted various shades of blue. I actually used three: the Look at Me blue, a more tealish colored blue, and the cobalt blue. So she is bluing it up here. The hands, aside from the head, were the only removable part of the figure, so I took them off and repainted them into her silver, forearm gauntlet thingies, and all that left was the head, with, okay, this takes a little bit of explanation. Renet wears a hood under her helmet, but I could not figure out a way to make this hood. Trying to make it would either involve completely eliminating the neck articulation, and given how limited the articulation of the figure already was, I did not want to do it worse. I didn't want to take away what little articulation the figure already had. And, well, like, sculpting a helmet onto something this size, it's always going to look a little bit inflated because, it's physically impossible to sculpt that thin and get any kind of detail in. It would just, like, be smeared. So the helmet looks a little bit overinflated. It almost looks like if this was a removable accessory, if they made an actual Renet action figure, because she does take the helmet off, and she has tightly braided hair that's kept close to her head, probably so that it doesn't spill out from under the helmet and cause interference, which is very practical, Renet. I like that. But yeah, that's the thing. Anyway, aside from epoxy sculpt, I also used some poster board to make the clock detailings and fins, so I could, get the details right and nice and sharp. And then everything is painted April has really thin lips, so Renee's lipstick looks kind of weird on them. But yeah, that's Renee's cool time wizard helmet thing. So all that was needed after this was her cape. Thankfully, Supergirl's cape from the DC Superhero Girls line is the exact right size and shape to just stick onto her shoulders, so that was a quick and easy job. So once attached to her shoulders with a little bit of epoxy sculpt and crazy glue, I had the completed figure, which I will now show to you. And here she is! Renet Tilley, the Time Mistress. Yeah, so aside from the unpaintable nylon plastic in the hip and shoulder joints, the figure came out pretty nicely repainted. Convenient pouch in the same place that she has the knife sheath, so that's good. And well, that's like, I just wish that the April O'Neil figure was better. Like, cause this has to be in the style of the Playmates line, like in scaling and aesthetic and all that. Like, I feel like I could easily have made a beautiful Renee figure from like a Marvel Legends figure, but then it wouldn't actually blend in with the Playmates Ninja Turtle line that emulates the cartoon she was to come from. You know, like it would probably blend in better with the NECA Ninja Turtles. I don't know. Anyway, this has been one of the first times that I've actually worked with the Playmates Ninja Turtle line to make action figures of, and I don't know. I think I got some mixed results. I think I did pretty good, but I'm not really happy working with these books because of various reasons. I just not a really big fan of the Playmates Ninja Turtles toys. I love the franchise so much, but just not the toys so much. Anyway, this has been Wake Angel 2001. I hope you liked the figure, and I'm signing off.